What's up, people? Welcome to Relative Distance with Carla, aka CB, and Gregg, aka G. Dot, coming to you straight from the east and west coast of these United States of America. What's up, bruv?
What's good? What's good, sis?
The usual.
Yeah. Stuck in the house still?
Stuck in the house board.
Yeah, I heard about you hitting them streets at 10 o'clock, making everyone go on curfew.
That's the wrong person.
Wasn't you?
Yeah, I'm hitting them Netflix streets. If that's what you're talking about.
I'm blaming everybody.
I heard y'all about to go back on shutdown, though.
Oh, yeah. We never came off shutdown. Like, not really. They tried in May. Like, we're going to open the bars and the gyms. They're like, June, they're like, nah. Oops. They shut us down.
Well, our governor hates us and wants us to die. So
that's true.
Everything's that's true. Open.
Yeah, I mean, 5 million people, voter fraud. I mean, obviously 5,600 were right, or 5.6 million were voted right.
What are these numbers you're saying?
Florida votes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 5.6 million voted correctly, and 5.2 were obviously fraudulent.
Well,
y'all voted wrong.
They're not coming after our state, though. They're coming after.
Of course not.
After Michigan. And speaking of Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, I gotta send love to our Relative Distance first official guest. We have our first guest, who's none other than my sister from another Mr. Mrs. Sheyonna Watson will be joining us on Relative Distance today. Yay. So we'll get to the official intro very soon. Oh, he's got toys. That's not like that, y'all. Y'all can't see.
Sound effects.
Yeah, that's sound effects. I didn't know what I was looking at. So, Sheyonna is my sis. We've known each other almost 20 years now, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow.
She is a multi-hyphenate. She is a wife. She is a mother. She is a minister. She is an educator. And she is my sister. Oh, she also officiated my wedding, which is very important to know. She is also a ring retriever.
Yes, we have to tell that story.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that story about how I forgot to take my ring to the altar. So she'll be joining us today for our lively conversation that we'll be having today. So welcome, Sheyonna.
Thanks so much for having me. I love y'all.
Yeah,
we love you too.
Love you
too. So we're gonna jump sort of right on into our stuff for the day. Tales from the Crib, because this conversation is going to be sort of formed around one main topic. What we're going to first talk about is our origin story when it comes to church. So Gregg and I obviously were raised together and went to church together. Shout out to Olivet Institutional Baptist Church in Cleveland, Ohio on Quincy, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss Jr.
That's right.
But what's fun, Pastor Moss. What's interesting though, my brother, is I have memories of being there together, singing in the echoes of joy at a young age. Mm-hmm. But then like when I get to high school, the memories start to dissipate. So tell me.
Well, that's because as our parents decided that their relationship was going to amicably split, they were, dad started going to another church.
Yeah.
And, and I found out the reason why. I don't want to put all his, I don't want to spill all his tea, but he started going to another church, and mom was raising her status in Olivet.
She was getting elevated.
I started going with dad to Morning Star, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I stopped going, and they kind of they let me stop going to church right about when they got divorced.
Okay.
They're like, whatever, we're not dragging this kid out of bed. And so, plus they had to be all fly because they were single now, so they had to put on their Dracula Noir and go to church and try to see what's good with the deacon board. So it really fell apart after about, I would say, when you were 14 or 15.
Okay, so right around the same time when we started living apart is sort of also, and like for me, I was going to Olivet. It's interesting because when I was 13. I was in the Girl Scouts at church, and that is when I decided to go up front when the doors of the church were opened, and I went up front, not understanding why I was going. I went up front because some of the other Girl Scouts went, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess I should get baptized, but I had no idea of the deep spiritual implications of it, to the point where grandma followed us up to the altar, And I was like, when I went up, she fell. She, thank you, Jesus. And she dropped her cane and was like shouting behind me. And I was like, why she acting like that? Like I didn't get it at all. I didn't get it at all. So, I was went about my thing, but I went to church, because my friends, we all sat in the balcony and we used to just, chop it up on Sunday mornings. I met my boyfriend. He comes up every episode. This is not on purpose, but that's where we kind of started our thing at church. But it was very different from my experience when I got to college.
Oh, well, I think only people next to you have any idea of what your experience was like in college.
Next to you, not a cult.
He said it. That's what he said. Now, Sheyonna and I attended the same church in college.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Gregg didn't know, but that's how I did know. Originally, Carla and I got connected was through church, not through U of M.
Correct.
Because Carla and I have a bit of an age difference that
I'm old. Just say it, sis. I'm old.
You're not old because I'm elderly. So no, we're fine.
Then what am I? I'm a corpse.
We're fine. I came to U of M in 2002 when Carla was in grad school.
Well, I wasn't even in grad. I was just working. No. I was just an employee.
Yeah, you were working. Yeah. Wow. So it was when you got to grad school, 2003, 2004?
2003.
2003. So yeah, it was like my sophomore year that Carla and I got connected. But even my freshman year, everyone kept saying like, oh, there's someone who's like living in the area that you can hitch a ride to perfecting.
Because it was far.
Because it was far from Ann Arbor. So like, oh, you go to church with her. And I was like, but I don't know her. I don't know this woman. Like, I'm not about to just like try and hitch a ride with a stranger.
Stranger danger.
So I really didn't go to church that much until like Carla got back on campus for real. And you came to a choir rehearsal. And they're like, see, this is the girl I've been trying to tell you about, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, oh yeah, she's cool people. Like, yeah, we about to hang out for real. And that's how we got
cool. And here we are.
Going to church together.
And we're still together.
Right. And
that's cool.
But yeah, that's how I was introduced to Carla. Was that everyone kept saying like there's someone you need to connect with. You can go to church with her. Because I started going to perfecting when I was in high school and I was living in Flint. And we would drive from Flint to Detroit to go to church.
How far is that?
That is a solid drive, like an hour plus.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like an hour, 10 minutes, hour 15, depending, upon traffic and whatnot. So we would go down for every service from Flint all the way to Detroit. And
I remember seeing y'all there.
Yeah, but by the time I went to school, I didn't have a car. I didn't know how I was gonna get to church, and I didn't really know Carla that well. But then everyone's like, "Yeah, you need to connect with her."
Yep. And here we are. And I did neglect to shout out Flint in your intro, so send some love to Flint Town.
Flint Town, Fly City, represent. Hardly home, but always repping. I love my city.
That's dope. Yeah, see, you guys made friends in church. I never made friends in church, so it was never a social experience for me.
Okay.
It was always a mandatory.
Gotcha.
Attending, even like when I was on my own, it was like I never had friends there. I just kind of went. I would sit by myself. I'm a weirdo.
Well, it's like I will say the social aspect does help if there's someone there that you can bond with that's like on your same age, kind of going through the same things. That does make it more palatable, I guess, because you can kind of share these experiences with each other.
Especially when you're young, like when your parents are making you go every Sunday, you look forward to the social aspect. Yeah. I mean, you're up on the balcony. I was sitting next to mom. with Mrs. Grant or one of the female deacons giving me dusty mints that were in the bottom of their purse. I don't need that.
That's a different experience. Yeah. But I had my 4 running buddies were there at Olivet, particularly, so we were all the same age. So
that's right. You got a little crew.
We were crew.
Like the mean girls of Olivet.
We were not. We were super nice.
You were the Lindsay. You were the Lindsay Lohan though. You were the nice one.
That's not true. They were all nice.
No, they were all nice.
Don't talk about my friends like that.
All nice. They were all nice. I'm just joking. I'm just joking to you girls. You know who you are.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
But that was, heavy 90s. We were doing our running around thing before we all left for school. Speaking of the 90s, we also were watching The Fresh Prince. I don't know if y'all caught the reunion.
Not
Moving on to
yet.
What in
I
the World.
haven't, not
I'm the
yet.
only one
I've
that
only seen
watched
the
it.
trailer.
Oh.
You said bring your tissues. I was like, well, is this for Ashley or for Hillary? Because I'm not sure.
Tissues.
Ew.
Oh.
Those.
Oh. I was confused. But I was like, dang, Carla.
Flag on the play. I guess I could have been interpreted that way. I did not specify tears.
Yeah.
I mean, folks said, Ashley Tatiana Ali, she's still fine on your new street. So
she looked good.
I told you when I met her, I was like,
Oh, I know you met her.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's name drop. So
no. Sorry,
this is his LA life.
Yeah,
that's true. You're very fancy.
Yeah, well, yeah. She's a very, very, very smart woman. And I was like, so you like stuff? And she was like, I just got off the Obama administration as a press secretary assistant. I was like, oh, you like stuff? You like smart stuff? It was the worst conversation I've ever had with a woman. So it's not all fire.
I'm sorry, bruv. I'm sorry, bruv. But you've got to be in her vicinity.
You got to shoot your shot.
Yeah, you got to try.
You like stuff would work for some people.
Yeah.
Right.
She wasn't the one.
But you watched it, Carla. It was good. It's worth watching.
It was very well done. I didn't expect to cry as much as I did. Even though, you kind of knew when I'm a thug. I don't really cry like that. You know what I'm saying? I'll drop a thug tear every once in a while. I'm a thug. What you mean? Don't doubt my thug. I'm from Solon. So anyway, I did not expect. I just didn't expect it. I knew that when they got to the James Avery part that it would be tough.
I cried when I saw it on YouTube. Like,
brother,
just
oh, brother, cry. Brother, cry.
Well, I'm sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah. So, but watching it, and it was about an hour. Hour and a half, but it was really well done. The way that it was formatted, the conversation that they had was really well done. And then I don't think it's a spoiler to say that they bring back old Aunt Viv because it's all in the trailers and stuff. Yeah. And
good.
That was emotional, and there's a lot of healing that happens in that. So I don't want to say too much about it because I want you to watch it. And
I know she was kind of fired. They talk about why she was fired?
They talk about why she left the show.
Or whether she was quit or fired.
What happened? Her perspective versus Will's.
It was money.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, always money. Yeah, always is. Well, that's good. Like, at least they brought her back because the worst part is to try to edit history.
Yeah. And I think with Will being, the way he is now and being very there, like he's been in therapy, has gotten some work or so, he's done the work. So he kind of knows the things to say and how to deal with difficult situations and what he needs to do to heal. And it was really evident that she needed it as well. So
we're gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah.
Well, after his red table talk, he's got the tools.
Right. Listen, Gammy with her third eye,
right. And then him having to just put all his stuff out with Jada in the street and I mean just expose it all, peel back all the layers. Will, we know so much about you now.
Wow, that's great. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I am gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah, definitely peep that. Definitely peep it. Speaking of resolved beefs, in just a little bit because we are. It's Thursday night that we're recording, so in about 30 minutes, Jeezy and Gucci Mane are going to be participating in Versus, the first episode of Versus, if you call it an episode, the first event of the second season. Now, how well versed are you in the history between Gucci Mane and Jeezy and why they hate each other or why they hated each other?
Didn't Gucci put some bullets in Jeezy's boy? That's what
some hot lead.
He fired him up. So apparently in 2005 they recorded Icy together. on the track, and then they had a dispute about whose album it was going to end up on. It ended up on Gucci's album. Jeezy didn't like that. So they're within the month of May 2005, these two were going at it back and forth, releasing diss tracks back and forth, back and forth. Then like in the middle of May, I think to the point where Jeezy was like in one of his songs basically put out a bounty on Gucci, says I'll drop 10 stacks on whoever can get the chain off Gucci's neck. I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure it sounded very different than that.
Yeah, I'm sure he had bars when he said it.
Yeah, that wasn't bars. That was Solon. He said that he would kill him. So give him money.
Buddy. 10 grand, buddy, for your herringbone.
Yeah. So that happened. And so then like in the middle of May, apparently some of Jeezy's associates assaulted Gucci. Gucci in defense, self-defense, fired back, pop, 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 killed one of them. And
home invasion, right?
It was a home invasion.
Yeah, okay.
It was a home invasion. So, that didn't go over well with Jeezy. And there's been a war words for 15 years, on and off, but for 15 years. So there's been talks of them re-collaborating again, but they come back and talk trash about each other again. So tonight is like the first time I think anyone has seen them in the same room in 15 years. And they're supposed to be in the same room.
I wonder how many people they're going to let in for their entourage. It's just going to be like Snoop and DMX, where it's just them.
It needs to be, because their entourage has gotten to a brawl.
Security, well, at least have enough security available, even if entourage isn't there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, can we talk about Gucci Mane's acting?
What did he act in?
He was in that movie Spring Breakers with James Franco.
I didn't see that movie.
Let me see. Let me see if I can pull up what else.
I don't even know what this movie is.
Right. Greg be knowing this stuff. He knows these obscure movies that no one's heard of.
Well, listen, it's Gucci Mane's debut performance, of course. How do you not know it?
Holy God.
I mean, let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find what else Gucci Mane has acted in, because
you're looking at his IMDb right now.
Yeah, because it's going to be worth seeing. Spring Breakers 2012. Project X, that's a soundtrack. But he's not a very good actor. No, he got 42 credits though.
Credits of what? Oh, like acting credits?
Yeah, they're videos. He put his videos. That's cheating, Gucci Mane. You haven't done this many.
Tell him how you feel.
Yeah. Your Fifth Harmony feature spot does not count as an acting credit.
But it's on there, right?
It's on there. A song called Down. I don't know that song. Selena Gomez featuring.
That's Gucci the thing. I know like none of his music. I know like 2 songs by Jeezy. That's why like this verses I wasn't even gonna really watch until I realized that they didn't like each other. I said, oh, this is gonna be for the culture. So I know Put On by Jeezy, and I know Lose My Mind with him and Plies. Those are like the 2 songs that come up. I'm like, oh, that's how I dance. But like otherwise, I don't know neither one of their music.
Yeah, I don't know any of it. Like,
really? I mean, there's some decent Gucci tracks.
Well, no, I remember he had a couple before he went to jail. I don't think he went to jail for shooting Jeezy.
He didn't.
For something else.
It was a weapons charge. He was there for 2 years, and then he changed. He transformed in prison.
Right. So maybe we get a different Gucci, interacting with Jeezy this time around. I'm just surprised Jeezy want to be in the same room.
Well, somebody posted a meme yesterday of that said, "Yo, Jeezy, go dig your boy up" or something, and it was like somebody jumping, and Gucci Mane retweeted it and like put laughing face emojis on it.
Yikes! So that was
yesterday. That was yesterday.
Still a mess. Okay.
Petty LaBelle. Petty Rebel. Right. Oh no. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait.
It's going to be intense.
It's going to be good.
For sure.
Well, also in these Instagram streets, speaking of memes, I wanted to get to the crux of what we wanted to discuss, because one, Miss Erica Campbell, who is 50% of the gospel group Mary Mary, with her sister Tina, who supports Trump.
Really?
I don't know if she still supports Trump, but she basically got canceled by the culture for what she said about Trump a couple of years ago. Anyway, Erica felt like it was a good idea 6 days ago to go on to Instagram and post the following statement in a very, very large font.
Very large.
It's gigantic to the point where it cuts off the words a little bit. So Ms. Erica states, you can't sow hoe seeds and reap marriage benefits. Your brain and body don't switch like that. You got to prepare your mind for marriage because it's ministry. Now, Erica has a pretty moderate following on Instagram. She's got, how many followers does she have? 2.5 million. That's a lot of people.
Oh,
she's got a lot.
That's substantial.
Her posts normally get about 1,100, 1,200 likes, maybe, people commenting 65, 70, maybe 200 comments. This particular post, when I checked it earlier, has now amassed 26,830 likes and almost 1,800 comments. And what I will say, before I yield the floor, is this, Sheyonna and I put it in the group chat almost at the same time. Because my question to the group was, can someone define what a hoe seed is? So I'm curious to what you guys think. What is a hoe seed? And let's just start there. What is a hoe seed, my people?
Right. Can I pick it up from Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware?
It's in the gardening section.
Trust me, I checked. They're all sold out.
I mean, this opinion, unprompted, unsolicited. Like, who asked for this?
Yeah. Why? That was my question. Why?
It's like that nobody, like did nobody mean nobody, and then Erica Campbell.
Hoe seeds.
This is clearly pointed at somebody.
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who. Somebody's mad about this. Oh, so what were the comments? Like, what were the
So we had a mixture of amen, girl, they can't handle this type of teaching, all the way down to this dead wrong. And what does this mean? This is wrong and judgmental. I know a lot of married hoes, I see.
Oh, okay.
Well,
someone said, preach, Erica.
Basically, what she's saying is they won't. Why would they buy the cow if they get the milk for free? Is what she's saying.
Kinda.
Right. At least that's the first part. That's what the first sentence is. I'm reading the first part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes a little bit crazy from there. Your brain and body. I think you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd be a hoe and a wife. I don't see why.
Why? So I have multiple questions.
Let's do it.
Definitely, she's giving the vibe of, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? But she's also giving vibes of you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, which
right.
definitely has been proven that that's false. For a lot of people. But the primary question I have is, why are the hoe seeds only being sold by women? So are there no men sowing hoe seeds who still get married?
But are you reading into that? You might be reading it. You might be.
I might be. You're right. I might be reading into it.
She doesn't. It doesn't specify gender.
It doesn't specify gender. You're right. I'm reading into it. It tends to be that most of the time they're directing these conversations to women.
Yeah, because if it was a guy, I'd be like, you can't put it down and get rid of her, buddy, or something like that.
Right.
That was my question. That was my thought when you asked that, sis, is like, when, especially being from the church, you interpret that to be directed to women almost immediately. You know what I mean? So you almost infer that it is directed toward us, where very well it doesn't have a gender, but you automatically genderize it because of the way things typically are structured in the church settings.
Because of women ministry, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because she's a woman, and I guess she, I'm sure she leads the worship team, and wherever she goes,
she's a pastor. I think her husband's a pastor.
Oh.
Right in LA, Warren's a pastor.
Is he? Right? Is he?
Yeah.
No, he might be. I don't know. I feel like most celebrity or gospel celebrities are, ministers in some kind of way. They end up being ordained or licensed or all of a sudden, they called and opened up a church. Who knows? So
Yeah.
he
Right.
might be pastoring. But you're right, Greg, that a lot of the ministerial stuff is directed toward women. They do have men's ministry, but they don't have a men's ministry that's called like husband school. Whereas I've
Right.
seen wifey school,
Mhm.
wife academy, how to be a
Mhm.
wife. Like that's the focus for women's ministry, versus the
Yeah.
men's ministry is like, man up, toughen up, and don't masturbate,
Right.
basically.
Right.
Don't
Right.
look
Right.
at porn is the men's ministry. Whereas the women is like, we have to do all of these
Yeah.
extra things to make ourselves valuable and worthy for someone to look upon us and, not be
Mhm.
planting hoe seeds so that we're
Right.
prepared for marriage.
When do you think those classes were no longer taught by men? They're like wifey school.
Oh, the wife is
Yeah, like, it was like up until like last fall, it was it was men telling women how to be wives.
yeah,
Oh, it
they still
happens a
are.
lot. It still happens. I mean, you think about like, what's his name? Steve Harvey. Now this is
Oh
a
yeah,
cheap person. Steve Harvey came out with that book, How to Think
Oh,
Like a Man, Think.
he's
yeah. Act
annoying.
like a lady, like a woman,
Thank
think like
you.
a
Think Like a
man.
Man. And then even like John Gray a couple of years ago recently got in trouble for, or got dragged for, was it a girlfriend?
The
Tell me.
spirit of a girlfriend. And
That's
what's
it.
funny is he, like you were saying with those comments, he got dragged by one, side of, Christendom and faith. But the other side, I saw so many of our friends from college and that were involved in ministries and stuff with us that were like, amen,
Yes.
Pastor John Gray.
Mm.
I will not walk in the spirit of a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to save these things that are only, you know, acts and service that you do for a man if you're married. I'm not gonna have that girlfriend mindset.
Mm-hmm.
What's that mean? Walk in the spirit of a girlfriend. I don't know what that means.
It means foolishness.
Oh, it means doing stuff on the couch. I got it.
Basic.
I got it. I
Way back to the
Basic.
couch.
got
All
It's
skeet
a
sweet.
lot. Right. It's a lot. Like you can Google this
Okay.
the
Okay.
clip
No.
that
No.
went viral, a spirit of a girlfriend. But yeah, basically, doing wifely stuff, but you're only a girlfriend. And so
Yeah.
you're gonna only be at that girlfriend level and you're in the mindset of only a girlfriend. You're not acting like a
A
wife would
wife.
act. You're
So
not
many
preparing
hoe
yourself.
seeds. So many hoe
Right.
seeds planted.
Still out here, Johnny Applehold seed and spreading it out. You can't do that and be married, because marriage is only for these very select, holy, and virginal people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to kind of touch on today, because since you and I have had these conversations with our third, shout out Jocelyn, but we've had
Wow.
we've had these conversations because I'm seeing a shift that I didn't see before, and maybe that's just because I'm open to having these conversations now. But being one way and sort of kind of really truly walking in that, just I guess diving in headfirst into church culture and Christianity and all that in college, everything you do, or at least in the ministry we were involved in, there was so much shame and guilt involved in what you were being taught. Either you're doing it the right way or you're going to hell. Like there was really no middle ground.
Right.
And that seems like sexual sin was the epitome of the worst,
Mhm.
the worst of the worst. And that's why this purity culture conversations that I have been seeing evolve more have been really, really interesting to me, and have been changing my mindset about a lot of this. Because if you think about it, women are taught through the church, be chaste, you don't let a man touch you, you can't even really touch yourself. You know what I mean? Like your body is a temple,
Yeah.
to be unsoiled until you're married. These women get married and have no idea how to,
Mhm.
what they want, what that sex is supposed to be pleasurable, because
Mhm.
none of that is taught in the church. It's shameful. So you're dealing with shame in the bedroom now with your spouse because you've been programmed all these years to think that this is wrong. And so like my thing is like I just don't want to perpetuate that anymore. Like I'm trying to find the marriage between healthy and still sort of following what you're taught. And that's like the conversation I wanted to have, because there's so
Mhm.
much more, so much deeper than you being shamed every Sunday for not, for having feeling this way.
Well, there's a C story in the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I've seen so many movies.
Sheyonna, have you seen that
I
movie?
have seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but it's been so long. Remind me of the plot again.
So Jack McBrayer, who plays in 30 Rock, the kind of the goofy guy from 30 Rock, Kenneth,
yeah,
he is married. It is the first time they're having sex, and he's like, and she wants to have sex, and he's like, no, and he's having a hard time, and he comes out and talks to Russell Brand, and it kind of shows him like what you're saying, Carla, like how they can have, how sex can be pleasurable. Mm-hmm. And but it's so funny, but it's exactly what you're talking about. How like he was like, no, so she wants him to go downstairs and push him down. He's like, no, not from you. like your dirty sin box. He's so scared of it.
Yeah.
But it's a real thing. I have friends who got married and waited, and then they got divorced because they weren't compatible. And they didn't know what to do.
They didn't know.
And there's a reason sometimes women will date a man who might be chaste because or celibate or abstinent because they don't want to have sex. So when he's married, he's like, it's go time.
Oh,
and she's like, no.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But so maybe define what purity culture is for maybe listeners who don't know exactly what. I guess you just kind of did.
Well, I would say it really is what Carla was explaining, and it is so it's so much more than that too. So it's not just talking about like sex and sexuality, but purity culture is this overwhelming theology that the only way you are valuable is if you are virginal, and the only way that you are virginal is if you deny yourself of all of these other worldly pleasures, and that you have to, like Carla was saying, be chaste, dress modestly. Like the whole idea of modesty and chastity and all of that is weaponized really towards women. They do kind of throw that to men too. Like I said, for men, it's all about porn. For men, it's
masturbation,
porn and masturbation for the men. And for women, of course, like they're never touching themselves. Yeah. And you are, virginal, and it's all wrapped up in this packaging of you have to be holy and chaste and modest, and that's what's going to make you worthy and valuable to your future mate. Everything is for that future mate. Mm-hmm. And then once you are together, you're supposed to flip some switch, and then all of a sudden you have this, marriage bed is undefiled. They throw that scripture out there, and you're supposed to be, a lady in the streets, but a freak in the bed. And all of a sudden, folks who have for years been conditioned and told like they can't dress a certain way, like you can't have your arms out because your arms too sexy.
But my shoulders are out. I'm going to hell right now.
Listen, right now, I got on leggings. Now that's of the devil.
I do too. I'm doubly going to hell. What?
That is not of the Lord, because you're showing off your shape.
Is this ideology perpetuated more from the pulpit or from your peer group?
Ooh, I think it's a trickle down.
It trickles down. Yeah.
So it comes from there, and it.
Because you're being shamed, I assume, if like your friends see you out in yogurt pants and you're going to the gym and you got your arms out. They might say something about you, but right?
They're going to hold you accountable. Like they may pull you off to the side because they are reinforcing what they were taught from the pulpit.
Correct.
Because you take what's said from the pulpit as the voice of God. This is someone who's a pastor, who's your spiritual leader, who's supposedly studying scripture, who supposedly is praying and has the ear of God, and they're talking and listening to the Lord. So whatever they say, it has this authority. And then everyone around you who's trying to supposedly work out their soul salvation, they're going to reinforce what's said, because they want to hold you accountable. There's the whole idea of accountability partners too, that you don't want to cause. I was told so many times as a young adult, you don't want to cause your brother to stumble.
Yep.
You're accountable to them. You don't
hear
want
that all
to
the time.
cause your brother in Christ to look at you lustfully, because it's my responsibility.
It's on you. It's not on them. It's on you.
It's my responsibility. So you have young women and other women and the mothers of the church holding you accountable. You have your friend groups holding you accountable, all because they're the mindset and the thought, even though sometimes it's well intended, is just to reinforce that you are not valuable unless you are virginal.
Mhm.
Wow. So,
Yeah, Greg, I don't know if I ever told you the story. I think I told you, Sheyonna, but the church we attended, I was fairly new. I had just gotten saved, and was going to church on Sunday morning, and was pulled to the side by someone in leadership, and said, "Come." Then she said, "Come to the back with me," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm thinking, I'm new to the church. Like, oh, she's trying to be my friend. I didn't know, like, oh, she must see something in me that she really likes, and she wants to pull me to the side and
they're gonna
talk
give
to
me a
me.
solo. They're gonna give me a solo in the choir.
It wasn't that. And there's another story
They're gonna
coming
be
about the
singing.
I'm gonna
church.
say there's
There's another
solo.
story about the singing.
Yes.
That's an aside. We'll table that for another episode. But no, she took me to the back, and I'm sitting there. I was like, well, what is it? She's like, take this robe. She gave me a choir robe. Put the choir robe on. Give me your skirt. My slits were too high. So she literally sewed my skirt up in the back of the church before service started because my slits were too high and showing too much leg.
Wow. Well,
That is that kind of stuff.
y'all should have been wearing robes there, anyways. You know what I mean? And by the way, let me be clear. I was not calling. I was not calling your church a cult. I was calling the gospel chorale.
No, oh, wow, like that's better. Like that's any better. but I'm about to say either one, the shoe might fit depending upon what era we're looking at.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But I love my gospel chorale days. I do,
Yeah.
but it was a lot, Greg. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna hold you up. It was a
I
lot.
saw my mother and I went and saw Carla when she was maybe a sophomore in college. Like they came to Cleveland and we were like, whoa, this is
Listen,
intense.
we love Jesus for real.
hard. We
For
love him
real, for real.
hard.
Yeah, man.
We love him
Yeah.
Listen,
hard.
get right or get left.
I still have the shirt. Get right.
Holiness is still right.
Wow.
Holiness or hell.
Yeah. Like here, take these white cat sneakers and you have to wear these dicky pants and welcome to the corral.
And drink this flavor aid while you're at it. But
Yeah.
no, but that's the thing. And I think that's one of the things that started to sort of change me a little bit is because I was so fixated in this way that things were supposed to be. This is what I'm being told. This is how it's supposed to be. And as things started to unravel and I started to see behind the curtain a little bit and realized that everybody was a hot, fiery mess and it typically was sexual issues, I was like, y'all had me out here just denying myself. I had feelings that I wanted to express, but y'all told me, but y'all out here just doing it. Like, really? Like the hypocrisy of it all, I guess, is really what sort of.
Well, so Sheyonna, what you may not know about me is right around 18 or 19, I got pulled back into church on my own independently. And it was, one of these mega churches. And I was, I got saved and I was going to church. And I guess I didn't know there was a name for it. But what you're talking about is sort of what, maybe not as explicitly as they were telling you, but it was definitely like, you can lose your salvation if you do this and this and that. And I dated a girl. I would only date women that were going to church, and ultimately got my girlfriend, who I'd only been dating for a very short period of time, pregnant. And the guilt that I felt ripped me apart to the point where I never felt comfortable going back into church ever. So I haven't been back. Never been back. And so I got back into the world, and it's just because the judgmental nature of that is so explicit and so, what's the word I'm looking for, Carla? Like so shameful. Yeah, prevalent. Like it's just hard to reconcile after a while, I guess. And like, and go back and keep looking at, everyone's judging you and but I get you guys were so much deeper than I was. I was only I was a tourist.
But you experienced it. That's the
but
thing.
you still experienced, and that's what I'm saying. Like purity culture is so baked in. It's such an overwhelming theology that is just so pervasive that it doesn't matter whether or not like you were in the church your whole life or you were only in it at a very critical moment in your life. Either way, you felt the impact of that very violent theology. Because any theology to me, at the end of the day, you have to look at the fruit that it bears. And if any theology is bearing the fruit of shame, guilt and condemnation, that can't be from a loving God. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Like you just said, you couldn't
Wow.
reconcile it.
Mhm.
So if that is how you're, feeling, which is completely valid and legitimate, to me, that's a disconnect from what we know to be God's heart and God's nature for his children that he's made in his image, that he loves, who he has given these great abilities of pleasure, of intimacy. And I think that those types of theology that is bearing fruit of shame, guilt, and judgment,
Yeah.
that's
That's
not
beautiful.
that's
That's a
not of the
beautiful.
Lord.
That's beautiful what you just said. That really is. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess what one thing I talked to Carla about that I kind of wanted to bring up was after you're married and the purity culture no longer really applies to you as other than being a motherly or maternal or paternal figure dictating what someone else is supposed to do. Do you think that has fed in at all into? Because I'm assuming that a lot of people that I was in church with in Ohio are now avid Trump supporters who are believing that they are God's chosen child, and that anything else is a. Do you think? Do you find a correlation between the two?
You said folks once they get married.
Yeah, once they're older and now they're in their 30s and 40s and 50s, who now no longer purity culture no longer applies to them because they're married. And I'm sure they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Right?
I do
Go
think
ahead,
there's an air of moral superiority. I think you mentioned that too,
Right.
prior to, especially if they were virginal and they got married and did everything right, so to speak. Their sex lives could be trash, but
Right.
outwardly they're like, I did it this way it was supposed to. There was like that we talked about this recently on the group chat, but it was the woman, the young girl that presented her certificate of virginity to her father at
Oh
their
yes.
wedding. It's
Oh
like
wow.
that, yeah,
Ew.
so
Right. That's the face. That's it, Greg. Yep. That is the face that everyone should have
Did he
when
sniff
you
it?
hear about this.
I bet he
ew.
sniffed it.
Yeah. But it was her and her
Gross.
pastor. Like she gave them the certificate saying, I went to the doctor. The doctor attested that I'm a virgin, and I'm showing you that I kept my promise. What?
Dr. Pastor.
The pastor,
It was this,
Dr.
Yeah.
Pastor. Ew.
right. The certificate was from the doctor. She presented it to her pastor.
But he's saying the doctor was the pastor. That's what he's
Oh,
saying. He did the check.
Yeah.
gross.
But anyway,
But
so
also not that very far off from some of these pastors. To
I'm
be
telling you. Hey
honest.
now.
talk about it. Talk
Hey
about it.
now.
But
Folks
I
just
do
keep putting
think
it on
that
the Catholic Church, but Protestants too.
Yeah.
a hot mess. But I do think that
Wow.
what you're saying is that it's that same thing with the people that are the evangelicals that are supporting Trump. They can look past all the other terrible things that he does and say, well, they're one issue voters. Like, well, I believe in pro-life, so I'm gonna support him. And the other stuff, he's just God's chosen that's supposed to be in the White House. I'm like, how? Like Sheyonna was talking about the fruit. What fruit is he bearing that makes you
Right, exactly. That's what.
the guy? He's
Listen,
the
a tree
Antichrist.
is known by its fruit.
Mhm.
A mess. And I think what you just said, Carla, about the moral superiority, that once folks get married, they have this idea of moral superiority. They absolutely do. And they use that position to then perpetuate oppression.
That's
So, Erica, you are living your married life with your husband, and whatever y'all got going on in y'all bedroom, y'all go ahead and do it. Why do you have to take time and energy out of your day to make this post about whole seeds? If you ain't sowing the whole seeds, why should this even take up rent in your head?
Right.
There are bigger fish to fry in 2020. So
Hello.
most folks who are married and now they don't have to deal with the quote unquote, struggle of sexual impurity or sexual immorality, they take that moral superiority and, like you said, place it, whether it's in politics or place it on people who are single, and like, oh,
Right.
this is how you got to get like me. And they just perpetuate the system of oppression instead of just being free.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you go be free.
Be free.
I mean, a 19-year-old horny kid getting married just so he can, go to second base is not
Terrible.
It's not
move.
freedom.
A
And that's not
terrible.
holiness. That's not freedom.
Yeah.
And that's not holiness.
Yeah,
And the
that's
same
bad
thing,
news.
you've got plenty of people out there sowing their whole seeds and getting married, like Sheyonna said at the top, and they are fine.
Totally
Fine.
fine. Hoes are winning, which is totally fine. Hoes are made in the image of the Lord.
Yes.
I love for everybody to win. I'm here for everybody to win.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So I just don't understand the time and the energy and headspace to down somebody else for their choices.
Man,
And then
man,
I don't want to open up a whole other can of worms on this, but another thing, Greg, are you familiar with soul ties? What those are?
no, no, what's that?
So this is the teaching that every person that you have sexual relations with, a piece of your soul is transferred to that individual, and you receive a part of their soul. So you are irrevocably tied to this person for the rest of your life because you had sex.
I can tell you right now that's not true.
Greg is like, let me scroll through my mental Rolodex. Absolutely.
Let me testify.
And there's always those really horrible illustrations. Have you seen, like, there's the tape illustration, the gum illustration, the heart illustration? I don't know if you've seen those, but there's
paper.
Like the
It's on the paper recently.
The paper where it's like, okay, you take a piece of tape and you pass it around the room, and first the tape and sticks to things really easily, but as you pass it around to each person, the tape isn't sticky anymore, and that's your sex in your vagina, I guess, basically. And your penis, it can no longer stick after it's stuck.
It's not saying lost
no more sticky icky.
Right. The gum has lost its flavor after it's been chewed. The heart, you give it to one person, and then it's ripped off, and you only have like this little bit left for your husband since you've been giving your heart away to all.
I've seen that.
Have you seen that?
I've seen that one. Yeah. Okay, that's wild.
The devil.
I mean that's wild. I mean, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where, like, if you're wrestling morally, then there probably is some truth to it. If every single time you do it, you feel terrible and you hate yourself and it's weighing on you, and you have to go to you have to go and lay prostrate and
self-flagellate at the altar.
Yeah, self-flagellate. Yeah, exactly. If you have to do that every single time, yes, it's going to take but like you're saying before, if you're free, like, okay, maybe you're going to go into a marriage and be like, I know what I want. Maybe you're self-actualized, and
right.
you can actually have some sort of input on what you like, because, like, listen, like, we're not just,
okay.
You women are not just, part of my French, cum dumpsters, and men aren't just breathing machines for their wieners. Like, there's more to it than that.
Absolutely. There's no need to pardon the French. Be free. Because you're right. If people are feeling all of this shame, is that shame that is self-imposed, or is that shame because they have internalized false doctrine?
I'd say it's the latter.
Everybody, I'm not saying everybody needs to have a wholecation. I'm not saying everybody has to have a whole sabbatical, whatever. You do you. You have to recognize what you have the space and the bandwidth, to engage in. Mm-hmm. I want people to interrogate where that conviction comes from. Is it conviction that because you're that's not built like that, you do catch feelings and you don't want to have casual relationships? That's fine if that's your conviction. Or is it condemnation? Because then that's what leads to the shame and the guilt and all of that.
Yeah.
Because you should be a self-actualized person when you come into a marriage, that what kind of agency, what type of way you want to negotiate pleasure in the bedroom, in the kitchen, and wherever else you want to go. And if you can't do that because you've been full of shame, oh, come on, 112.
You caught it.
That I heard it anywhere, because that was the jam. And you've been so shamed that you haven't had any space to even explore that because you think that's the devil. Well, that's not coming from you and your own convictions and the Holy Spirit talking to you. That's coming from somebody else mess that you've internalized. So you got to investigate that. Where is that coming from? Because I feel like everybody, in sex positivity, has to cover the spectrum of people who want to be out here in these streets and people who want to be celibate and abstinent.
Absolutely.
You can be abstinent, and that's totally fine. I was abstinent till I was married. That's totally fine, but it doesn't make me any better. Doesn't give me no gold star. Doesn't give me any cookies or points for doing that. It was just because I know me and how I'm set up.
You're getting your cookies now.
Listen, right, getting it in. I got 2 kids to show for it.
That's right. That's right.
But even with me abstaining to marriage, like pleasure was still always going to be on the menu. Like because I'm a person, I don't know, like you have
desires.
desire, right?
Yeah.
Desire is always going to be there. I don't understand. People think abstinence means devoid of desire. Like desire is still there.
Hello.
Pleasure still needs to be explored and understood. And then
Correct.
people who are asexual too. Asexuality has to be understood in the realm of sex positivity. And again, all of this is still seen as blessed and beloved of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Well, like I was saying at the beginning of this conversation, someone who is asexual or might come from trauma, who then who might link up with somebody who, is in the purity culture and abstinent and is self-flagellating if they wake up with morning wood. It might work. It might work out that they might work out that it works for a time,
right,
for a season, right? But it just doesn't. But it's just like you're saying, sex positivity is really the way it needs to be.
Yes, and I'm with you.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and there's some theology and great public theologians and people who are trying to push folks to think about sexuality and faith and God and biblical sexuality in more progressive ways. Unfortunately, there are still folks who are yet holding on to that very oppressive theology, and they're just trying to repackage it. I just saw a website earlier today that was called like church sexuality. Like, ooh, the church is going to talk about sex and we're going to talk about a way that is affirming. And the more I delve deeper into like the people who made it, I'm like, no, y'all just repackaging it. It just looks fancier. Like you just are able to use the words, but you're still saying like, oh, this is what God's will is for you, and this is the biblical view. It's just like, no, the biblical view is a whole lot of getting it in, multiple wives.
Right.
You can't read the Song of Solomon and tell me the Bible ain't talking about folks getting it in. Song of Solomon is talking about licking nipples.
Yeah.
I mean, you got books about talking about. Listen, so you can't tell me that the biblical view is just, again.
They were horny in the Bible. Very, very,
very. And then you got to think about the folks who wrote it. It's mainly men.
Yeah. Horny men in caves.
Horny men.
I'm not saying that they weren't inspired, right? I'm not saying they weren't inspired of the Lord to write some of it.
And then Rachel came in and she said, what about the nurse? And what about the maidservant girl? And I'll watch. And then,
No, my goodness, Gregg, you're taking this to a whole other level.
It's all so horny. But you're talking about repackaging. I'm picturing Pastor Jeff holding a youth conference in the church basement. He's wearing shorts and and he starts it with playing "Let's Talk About Sex." Yeah. He's like, "Hey guys, is this okay?" It comes in like, "Hey, everybody," and he's like, "But you shouldn't."
Right. No, basically that's what it is. It's his
exactly.
Business. They have the skinny jeans. They got some tattoos. Sleek website. They're on the gram. They're on IG. They're on TikTok. They're hip. They're with it.
They're saying the same crap.
Same shame-filled crap.
Speaking of which,
to be delivered.
Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones on HBO?
No, you've seen all the shows.
Yeah, so this is like Danny McBride, but his father is John Goodman, and they run a super church, like a mega church in like South Carolina or something. But they have Adam Devine, who's like from Workaholics, is playing the youth pastor, and he'll take the kids out, just what you're saying, Sheyonna. He'll take the kids out, and he'll take them to the jump park. And I jumped for Jesus. And he's like, yeah, dude, he's like, no, it's Fleek.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude, it's just so bad. It's just so bad.
That's not what it is though, but they're still perpetuating the same message. And so Sheyonna, if you have any theologians resources you want to drop for anybody that's listening, might be interested in learning more about this. I will say that my springboard into a lot of this, although it was sort of burning was the conversation between Kev on Stage and Candice Benbow.
Yes.
And Candice Benbow is a theologian she's on Twitter and Instagram, and she sort of, shares some of these sex positive, has very, very, some people consider very radical thoughts about how sexuality and women are portrayed in the Bible. But that's really what got my wheels turning in terms of some of these topics. So that was my springboard, but I know that Sheyonna knows like way more. So
Yeah, you're pretty
Well,
amazing.
I'd love to say, all right. I'm not that busy. I just live on Twitter, and I always say, if the Saints ever found my Twitter, they would not think I was saved.
That's why I didn't share it. That's why I didn't even put your junk out there.
I'm still not gonna say my Twitter handle.
No, I
because
wasn't gonna
know
ask
me
you to.
in these streets.
It's all locked down anyway.
I lock it down every now and again. Right now it's public, but I locked it down when I preached a conference once, and all of a sudden I had like this influx of people like following me on different social media. I was like, oh no, y'all can't find my Twitter. You don't follow me everywhere else. Let me hide. No, the States.
You need to have a Finsta and an Insta. You need to like.
I do. I need to be like the kids and get the Finsta.
Yeah, Finsta.
That's what your parents had you on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, Candice Benbow is an amazing resource. Her Red Lip Theology. I can't wait for her book to come out that she's writing.
Excited.
Just about her personal journey and getting free. But I also follow Danyelle Thomas. So she's on Twitter, but also Facebook under the handle of Unfit Christian.
Yeah, I follow her too.
Unfit Christian is an amazing blog, but also just a great community online on Facebook and on Twitter, where she shares some of that same just affirming theology, unpacking some of the mess that we just kind of take as authority. Because again, I just want people to interrogate and investigate, where is his feeling come from?
Yes.
If it's conviction, and that is definitely coming from the Holy Spirit, yes, amen. But if it's condemnation and shame and guilt, that is not of the Lord. So I appreciate these women doing that kind of work of unpacking and interrogating and offering up other ways to look at scripture, because that's all we're doing. Anybody who says the Bible is black and white, or the Bible says, they're dead wrong. Everybody is interpreting. Everyone, even if you're translating from the original text, the original folks writing it were interpreting what they thought God said. That's everything is an interpretation. Everything's second and third hand, and we're all bringing our own stuff into the interpretation.
Ooh,
anyone that says otherwise is deceitful.
Come on.
So I really do look at Candice Benbow, Danyelle Thomas. And then I look at a lot of womanist theologians, womanist biblical scholars. And I don't know if you want me to kind of like define what is womanism and womanist biblical work.
Wait, sorry. Did you say her name is Candice Benbow?
Yeah, Candice Benbow. Yeah.
If it was Bimbo, she had no choice but to read Benbow.
BenBow.
Okay, all right. I heard Bimbo.
I can see where you tripped up there.
Okay.
Oh, Gregg. So,
but you're saying womanism, like
womanism. So I definitely am someone who identifies with womanism as both a political, biblical, and social construct, and a biblical hermeneutic. The way I look at scripture, I look at it from the womanist lens. So if you think of feminism, there's the Alice Walker quote that womanism is to feminism as lavender is to purple. It is looking at the unique lived experience of Black women and how we have these intersections of both gender and race, and how we come into the world. So and how we how the world sees us and how we see the world is a very specific and unique experience. So it is a term coined by Alice Walker that started off as this word like woman-ish. So like, how back in the day people would call like girls fast and men's mannish, or you're acting womanish. Yes. So womanish was this sassy, like, not necessarily adultification, but kind of recognizing this sassy uniqueness of Black women. And so, we know these terms within our own culture and our community, and now it has evolved from Dr. Katie Cannon and other womanist scholars to be this very unique lens of how you approach scripture and looking at it from a Black woman's experience. And so I follow a lot of womanist scholars like Dr. Renita Weems, Dr. Mitzi Smith. She's the one who I know has transformed the way I look at scripture, even look at my faith and look at God as, you know, we only see God and talk to him as the he. You know, she was the one that opened me up to the idea of that God, even the biblical God, is she. So that was a really powerful interpretation. But Dr. Mitzi Smith is another person to kind of look into her work. And Dr. Will Gaffney, she is another great author. And blank another one, Dolores Williams. She wrote a book called Sister in the Wilderness, looking at the story of Hagar in the Bible and how that really is reflective of the Black woman's experience. So these are women that I've, you know, read their work. I follow them online and listen to their sermons. Like, these are women who are filled with the Spirit of the Lord, who are powerful preachers in their own right. But a lot of times they don't really have the same space in the gospel kind of wider, you know, culture.
Right.
Even though they have huge platforms in academia, a lot of these women, because, you know, they're PhDs, they're biblical scholars, they're theologians. So they have a lot of a space in, I think, academia, but sometimes in like the Black church world, people don't really know who they are. But definitely look up their work and their writing, because it is transformative, and it's, like I said, it's giving you and offering you up another lens, because we're typically only seeing God and seeing sexuality, seeing sex through a male perspective.
Right.
I'm just saying, as COVID is re-raging in our country, you may want to get clickety clacking on the keyboard, Sheyonna, and maybe do your own book.
See, that's confirmation. I told her we've been telling her she's a podcast. See,
let them fingers do the talking.
See, I didn't even prompt him to say that, sis. See there?
That is the highest compliment is anyone saying that I have a way with words and that somebody else will want to read them.
Absolutely, you got a lot to say.
Absolutely.
I might be older than you in age, but you have so much wisdom, and that's why we wanted to bring you on. I will include all of those resources in the show notes when we go to put the episode up, so people can get easy access to those theologians and resources that you mentioned. But thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation with us.
I'm waving like people can see me.
That's all right.
Well, I got a light. And we maybe could put this video up so we can just see your smiling face.
If you don't want to see, I understand.
You can see all of my smiley face. I'm recording in the kids' playroom.
Yeah.
That's right.
We keep it real on relative distance.
This is my life. Feel free to.
How are things going with COVID? You guys okay with the lockdowns and all that?
Ooh, it's going. It's a lot. We got the virtual school going for our oldest little buddy. He's in first grade, and then Michael is 9 months.
Little buddy.
Yeah, we got little buddy and kid sister. They are a lot. We're making it happen.
Well, my daughter's on punishment for forever.
Well, no.
What does she do?
Well, I watched the very terrible movie Cats, and at the like, this movie is awful, but the only saving grace is Jennifer Hudson's performance of Memories at the end. So it moved me to tears.
All the way to the end, though.
All the way to the end. First of all, when I turned it on, and like she saw the cats, she was taken aback. She was like, oh.
Yeah, I would have nightmares.
So I play her Memories, and then I was like, then I go on YouTube and I pull up and I'm telling you, Jennifer Hudson, another.
Okay.
And I was like, what'd you think? She was like, pretty good. I was like, go to your room. So until she gets her mind right.
She's on punishment.
She's on punishment. That's absolutely right.
Hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
But that's COVID life. Tensions are bubbling.
Oh yeah.
We just need to end so y'all can get out and get some space from each other.
For sure.
What it is.
Yeah.
For sure. But Sheyonna, thank you so much, man. Like, it was really, really, really amazing what you had to say.
Shoot, we may have to bring you back on.
Yeah, we're gonna come back on.
Yes, come on, reoccurring guest.
Well, you know what? Let's. Well, you know what? Let's just take it home. What are you watching right now? Should we take it to what you're streaming, Carla?
What am I watching? I don't know. I'm
Because
watching stuff
Gucci and Jeezy aren't on yet, so
Oh.
let's do it. There's a million people on here, but they're not.
Oh.
They're fighting in the backstage.
Listen, will they ever make it out?
Will they ever make it out?
I don't know.
Did people get a pat down before
We'll
they
wait and
walked
see.
in?
We'll wait and see.
Exactly right. So what are you watching? What are you streaming?
Let me think. I'm watching old stuff because I saw Carla was talking about Umbrella Academy. We watch Umbrella Academy and I love it and I can't wait for the next season. So I've been watching like super old like 90s shows and 2000s. So I've been rewatching The Practice. And The Practice is so cool.
I never watched it.
You never watched it?
No.
Oh my goodness, I love The Practice growing up and watching it now as a kid. I was watching now as a grown up. I'm like, why did they ever put some of this stuff on TV? It definitely did not age well. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that it's just like, oh no, we are way too woke for some of these topics.
How many seasons are there of it?
Oh, it's like 8 seasons.
Oh,
I'm on like season 6. Oh, it's bad. The Practice.
Like 22 episodes, probably.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And
That's
so
a commitment.
Drama. It's so much drama. Their clients are always doing ridiculous stuff and stalking. Like every last one of them are like murderers. But it's so good just watching these really intense closing arguments.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's like Scandal times 10, the amount of mess that is in the show.
That's a lot of mess.
It is, but I love it. So that's what I'm doing right now is watching The Practice, and then I'm gonna move on to watch like all the spinoffs from The Practice, like Ally McBeal,
I watched that. It's David E. Kelly's show. That's who.
Yes, all the David E. Kelly shows. I've been going down the rabbit hole.
I'm watching Undoing, which is a David E. Kelly show on HBO.
Oh, is that good?
Awesome.
Okay.
I didn't know that was his show.
I'm sold. I'll watch it.
That's all he had to say was David E. Kelly.
I'm obsessed now. He's
is one of them a lawyer? No, awesome. They've only done 4 episodes right now, but it's been wow.
Okay. I saw that in the HBO QS. I might look at that, but yeah, I am watching Umbrella Academy. I like it. It's good. I just fell asleep on it last night. So that's been my struggle. It's sleepy time. But no, it's okay. I got to the end of the first season. I was like, oof. Well, it didn't pick me up until maybe the middle of the first season where I finally was invested. But that's just because I was watching it very sporadically. But by the time I got to the season finale, I was locked in. I was like, oh.
That's how I am with The Boys. Like
I watch
The Boys. It's intense. It's a lot, but sometimes I'll just fall asleep on it because it's a lot going on. I'm like, it's too late. Let me just fall asleep.
Yeah,
I'll catch it in the morning.
Brian watches that. My husband, but I haven't watched it.
It's good. It's really good.
It's good, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. Okay. Well, I'm not opposed to shows that are a lot, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think I'm still rewatching Seinfeld.
You're still.
But Jerry Stiller just finally came in.
Okay. What season is that?
That's
4.
End of season 4, he comes in.
Okay.
And he slaps George in the forehead in the first scene he's in, which is amazing.
Nice.
And then then I was going to tell you about The Undoing. I saw you finish Queen's Gambit.
I did finish Queen's Gambit.
Amazing, right?
Very good. It's good.
I saw the trailer. Haven't watched the episode yet.
Listen, I saw it in Netflix. I was like,
no.
No,
like pass.
Thank you. Hard pass on chess. But people kept talking about it, and I'm very, susceptible to people's opinions. So I was like, let me watch this. Everybody seems to like it, and it was a very good story. But it's deep.
Is it creepy? Yeah. I don't do creepy. No, that's why I can't watch Lovecraft or whatever.
Lovecraft's so good.
I can't do creepy.
It's not creepy at all. Not in
you a lot. Oh, Queen's Gambit. I thought you meant Lovecraft Country.
No. Lovecraft is bloody and creepy and
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Queen's Gambit looked a little bit creepy.
No. It's intense, but it's not
it's not creepy.
But it's great. Yeah,
there's nothing supernatural. There's nothing really supernatural happening there. No. It's more about addiction and drama
and child prodigies and it's very and then
it won't scare you at all.
Nothing scary. Nothing creepy.
Yeah, for
sure. But I'll start it.
Yeah, man. Other than that, I don't know, but between bouncing around with I got a show for you guys to watch that I'm watching currently. It's the second season. It's called Pen 15. It's on
I've heard
Hulu.
of that. It was on Hulu. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. So it's these two 35-year-old women or 30-year-old women, and they they wrote a show about being in middle school, and they cast real 13-year-olds, and then they dress like they're 13. I mean, like they're supposed to, like they were supposed to be 13-year-olds, but like they're 35-year-old women, like who are playing themselves at 13.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny. But like this second season, like it's getting a little heavier. Like but it was interesting because what they captured really well was sort of that angst and insecurity that you have when you're 13 or 14 and like wanting to blend in and wanting to get some sort of sense of identity while in a community. It's really, really good.
Okay, it's Pen, P-E-N.
Yeah, it's penis.
Like
it's
remember
penis.
when you were a kid, you were right.
Oh my
you were right
God.
at 15.
Yeah.
You didn't get it? Yeah.
I did not get it. I was like Pen 13.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, it's Pen 15. That's really good.
Pen
really good
15.
show. Pen 15. Yeah.
Write it down, look at it for a while, and think about it.
I don't have to look at it long. I get it right away.
Yeah, you're like Queen's Gambit. You have to see it on the screen.
Right. Like penis. I know that.
Yeah. That's a great. I'm watching that as well. All right.
Okay, I will check that.
All right, we'll watch that. We'll watch that.
For sure.
Well, thank you, Sheyonna, for coming on
Sheyonna.
and joining us today. This is a great conversation. Yay! And I don't know. We'll try. Like I said, we'll try to bring you back. For our peoples that are, we have sound effects on the show, guys. Now. So again, I want to give a shout out to everyone that has listened so far. Hi, Mom. I know you're listening.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Mother.
Hello, Mother. But anywhere you're looking for us, you can find us: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, and Google Podcasts.
What about Clubhouse? You're on Clubhouse?
I can't figure it out. I'm there, but I'm like,
okay.
Oh, you're on Clubhouse?
I'm on Clubhouse.
Yeah,
but I have done nothing. I'm just there, like as an entity with
no
followers. I'm on Clubhouse. Relative dist, I think is the username, but I've done nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
That's plenty.
That's fine.
Nothing is plenty.
Nothing from nothing means nothing. So yeah, don't forget to continue to rate us, review, subscribe to the podcast. Thank you for your ongoing support. And just keep with us, you guys. Stick with us. We're rolling this thing out. So until next time, anything y'all want to say for the greater good of the people before we sign off?
Yeah.
I don't know. Shrugs.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thanksgiving. Our next episode will drop after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Be safe. Follow the Zoom guidelines. That meme is going around that Zoom Thanksgiving is better than an ICU Christmas.
Yeah, and keep and stay on Facebook fighting with each other so I have something to read on the toilet.
Wait, last week you told everybody to be nice to each other on social media.
I've changed my mind.
He needs entertainment.
I've changed my mind.
Your peace.
Like when I see somebody's comment and it has like 112 comments.
I'm in there.
I'm like, ooh.
Expand that joint.
Yeah.
I love it. Social media is the devil. All right, you guys. Well, till next time, y'all be safe, be good. Much love. Peace.
Much love.
Peace.
Bye.